Hello all and welcome to another Commander gameplay right here on No White Borders. I have nothing to sell you today, so let's just get straight into the opening hand, shall we? Andy's up first this time with his Omnath Locus of Rage deck. He starts off with a couple of lands including a Timber Gorge, Ivy Elemental, Mina and Den, Scourge of Gaia Reach, Rites of Flourishing and Rage Reflection. It's noteworthy that I think there is an Elementals sub-theme in this deck. Then I'm next in the turn order, bringing you a Galea Auras deck. I start with a Naya Panorama, a Forest, couple of land auras in Utopia Sprawl and Fertile Ground, Reprobation, Heroic Intervention, and Steel of the Godhead. Just need to hope that I get into an Enchantress that I can start drawing cards off. Then Coxie's bringing his brand new Runo list, and he starts with 4 basics, an Ivory Tower, Labman, Inkwell Leviathan, and Lorthos. And finally it is Raz bringing us Jor Kadeen. He starts with 2 lands including a Boros Garrison, Galvanic Blast, Fight to the Death, Caged Sun, Hellkite Igniter, and Darksteel Colossus. Pretty heavy hand for him mana-wise, but hopefully he'll get into plenty of rocks in this Artifacts deck. Hope you all enjoy the game. Thank you in advance for subscribing, sharing and liking the videos. It really does help get the ball rolling on this brand new channel. It is a tapped Timber Gorge for Andy on turn 1. I play a Rimewood Falls, and then Coxie goes basic island into Ivory Tower. Then it's just another basic in a mountain for Raz. Andy plays a Terramorphic Expanse and cracks that for a forest. I play and crack a Bamp Panorama for a tapped Plains. Coxie gains 2 life from the Ivory Tower, and then plays a Swamp and passes. Raz drops a Plains into a Mystic Skull. Then just to get the game moving more quickly apparently, Andy plays a mountain into Rites of Flourishing. I play a forest and lay down my first Enchantress in Sithis. I then play Utopia Sprawl, enchanting one of my lands, and draw a card from the Sithis as well as gaining 1 life. But I lose the life straight away by cracking the Misty Rainforest and going for a tapped Breeding Pool. Coxie gains 2 life on his turn with the Ivory Tower again. And then the game is going to be moving even faster apparently because Coxie throws down a Howling Mine now. It's Great Furnace for Raz, and then he plays out the Boros Bounce land, bouncing the Great Furnace back to his hand. He floats some mana from the Great Furnace before doing so though, and shoots Sithis with a Galvanic Blast. Andy drops 2 forests and then casts a Garruk Primal Hunter, ticking that up for a 3/3 beast token. I draw 3 cards to start the turn off, and then throw out some more ramp in Fertile Ground, going onto one of my plains. And then following that up with another land aura in Gift of Paradise. After that I can land my commander, so tap out into Galea, Kindle of Hope. Coxie gains 1 life from Ivory Tower this time. He plays a swamp and an island for the turn, and then casts his commander Runo. Raz throws out the Great Furnace again along with a mountain, and then plays a Caged Sun, naming red. Andy plays Mina and Den for an extra land drop per turn, and then puts 1 mana into X on an Ivy Elemental, so it gets 1+ counter. He makes another beast with Garruk Primal Hunter. Steel of the Godhead goes onto my commander to start my turn off, giving it lifelink and unblockable, as well as a +2/+2 buff. I then enchant a land with Glittering Frost. Then it's another aura for Galea in Ethereal Armour, giving it +1/+1 per enchantment I control. That makes Galea a 12/12 with Vigilance, First Strike, Lifelink and Unblockable. I swing straight in towards Garruk, making use of the Unblockable, and take that Planeswalker down, gaining 12 life in the process. Now we do make an error with Runo here. Coxie reveals Nightveil Spectre, and we think that the converted mana cost on this is 6 because you count each pip in the mana cost. What actually happens with hybrid mana is that you either pay 1 or the other with regards to the colours, so each hybrid pip counts as 1. We were thinking of a card like Beseech the Queen, where you either pay 2 or the colour, and in that case you actually count the highest number according to the rules that I have looked up. So while the hybrid mana on Beseech the Queen makes the total mana value of that card 6 thanks to counting the highest numbers, it is only 3 on the Nightveil Spectre, so should not have flipped Runo into Crothus, Lord of the Deep here, but we did, so just wanted to correct that error. Thanks to all the ramp, he plays 3 spells here. First off it is Underworld Dreams, then Fog Bank, and follows that up with the Nightveil Spectre that he revealed. Raz draws 3 cards at the beginning of the turn and loses 3 life to the Underworld Dreams. He then plays a Mountain and a Slayer's Stronghold as his lands for the turn. And then thanks to all the mana he's generating, it is a Darksteel Colossus. And he drops a land and taps out into his commander. He then makes landfall to the Omnath, making a 5/5 elemental token. He has also lost 3 life to the Underworld Dreams as well, of course. He discards Walking Atlas to hand size and passes to me. I play Flooded Grove and a Forest for the turn. I then play my next Enchantress in Sram Senior Edificer, playing straight into the Underworld Dreams apparently. I follow up Sram with an Arden, and then attempt to deal with the Omnath by throwing a Reprobation on there. That draws me a card from Sram and I lose another life. Not done with the auras, I go Griff's Boon onto Arden, giving it flying and +1 to its power, drawing another card and losing another life. I decide to clear a card off the top of my library by cycling Scattered Grove. This does of course lose me yet another life. I swing in at Raz with what is actually a 14/14 Galea. I didn't count the enchantment that I do control but is on Andy's side of the board. We correct this in a turn or two though. In response, Raz goes for Dispatch, and he does have Metalcraft, so that will exile the Galea. So in response I'm forced to go for Heroic Intervention, giving my commander Hexproof. Round to Coxey's turn, he gains no life from the Ivory Tower, and then draws 3 cards. He then goes on to play Kami and Wizard class. He then levels up the Wizard class to level 2, drawing himself a couple of cards. The draw pain and, well, discard pain in this instance continues after Coxey throws out a Liliana's Caress. So with that, it's on to Raz's turn, and he is the first of us to draw 4 cards this time now that the Kami has entered the fray. He then plays a Bronze Guardian, which gets a buff to its power per artifact he controls, and then follows that up with an Unstable Obelisk. And he casts Root Out onto my Reprobation, freeing his Omnath. That also gives him a Raging Clue. Then it is Swiftfoot Boots. He equips the Swiftfoot Boots onto his Omnath to give it Hexproof, and then follows that up with a Rampant Growth, getting another basic and making another 5/5 elemental thanks to landfall. He discards Ubermob Mysteries to hand size, losing 2 life to the Liliana's Caress, and then passes over to me. I draw 4 cards and lose 4 life as well, then throw out a Forest and a Command Tower, and play Mesa Enchantress. I play Aqueous Form onto Arden, which makes it unblockable and lets me scry whenever it attacks. This draws me 2 cards from the Sram and the Mesa Enchantress, having me lose 2 more life. I cast Kenrith's Transformation off the top of the library, enchanting Raz's Giant Golem. So I draw 2 cards from the Enchantresses and a card from Kenrith's Transformation itself. So that is draw 3 and lose 3 life. It's noteworthy that it also cost me 2 extra for the Kenrith's Transformation thanks to that having Ward 2. After that I cast Sterling Grove in an attempt to give my enchantment Shroud, and in response Raz cracks his Unstable Obelisk to try and blow up my Galea. But in response to that I cast Timely Ward, which will give my commander Indestructible. That is an aura, so I draw 2 more cards to the Enchantresses and lose 2 more life. I swing in with a 3/2 unblockable Arden at Raz. That puts a scry on the stack thanks to Aqueous Form, and I put that card on the bottom. I also swing in with the Vigilance Galea towards Andy. We think that it's 16 commander damage because once again I didn't check my opponent's sides of the board for one of my enchantments, and obviously I need to include the Kenrith's Transformation on Raz's Golem. So it's actually 17 commander damage dealt to Andy here. We do correct that later on, and I of course gain the 17 life. Coxey doesn't gain any life to the Ivory Tower on his turn, and he plays the massive sea creature Lorthos. Then it's over to Raz again, and he plays a Mountain and a Darksteel Citadel. It's noteworthy that the Darksteel Citadel is an artifact land, so it does buff the Bronze-Steel Guardian and count towards Metalcraft. It's then Tower of Calamities for Raz, and follows that up with a Hellkite Igniter. He then makes use of his Slayer's Stronghold, which gives his dragon Vigilance, Haste and +2 to its power. He then activates his Hellkite Igniter twice, buffing its power per artifact he controls. That makes it a 25/5 with flying and haste. He then swings in at me for 25 points of damage in the air. Over to Andy's turn now, and he plays an Incandescent Soul Stoke. He then follows that up by casting a Rage Reflection, giving all of his creatures double strike. He turns his now 2/2 Ivy Elemental in towards me, along with a couple of 6/6 Elemental tokens with double strike, and his 6/6 Commander with double strike in towards me as well. I make a slight error of judgment here, and arguably a greedy one as well. I don't want to block and kill any of the elementals for fear of one of my enchantresses being blown up. In hindsight, we're getting plenty of card draw, so it's not exactly something that I should be worried about. It's actually because I had a grip full of lands here. But because of that, I decide to block the Ivy Elemental, assuming that it's a plant as opposed to an elemental creature. That means that I take 36 damage, including 12 Commander, from Omnath to the elemental creatures, and then kill off what I thought was a plant and get bolted anyway. I do at least gain 17 life from the blocks thanks to Galea having lifelink. Andy discards Rogue Elemental and Sylvos to hand size, losing 4 life to the Liliana's Caress. I draw 4 and lose 4, and then play a Fortified Village as my land for the turn, revealing a basic Plains, which I then play in straight afterwards. The greedy plays continue by me, and I go for Eidolon of Blossoms, which triggers on its self-entering, and also triggers my Mesa Enchantress, drawing me 2 and losing me 2 life. I then cast All That Glitters, targeting the SRAM, but before it can land, Coxie counters it with a second guess. I have, however, still cast the All That Glitters, so that still triggers the SRAM and the Mesa Enchantress, drawing me 2 and losing me 2. I swing an 18/18 in at Raz with Galea, dealing lethal commander damage to him and taking him out, also gaining 18 life. Noteworthy that at the beginning of combat phase I could have moved the Kenrith's transformation onto something else, and I should have done that because it actually goes down along with Raz here. Not only debuffing my commander, but also losing some potential removal from not having that enchantment in play anymore. I also threw in the 3/2 Ardent at Andy. I scryed a card to the top. I then put Darksteel Mutation onto Coxie's Lorthos, drawing 3 and losing 3. Then I finally drew into what I've been hunting for the entire game, and that is some hexproof for the Galea to fully protect it. So I throw out the Curator's Ward onto my commander and draw 3 and lose 3 once again. And due to my tunnel vision of trying to get hexproof onto Galea, I completely forgot about the Liliana's Caress. So thanks to drawing so many cards this turn, I have to discard 8 of them, which was 7 lands and an enchantment for one of the lands as well. So unfortunately, it looks as though the Runo being flipped round is going to be relevant here. Coxie sees that it's likely that Andy will go down to draw pain next turn, so just looks at swinging in at me. Takes his commander and the Nightveil Spectre in towards me, and makes a copy of the Nightveil Spectre thanks to Runo being flipped around. He then plays an Inkwell Leviathan and a Ratchet Bomb, and passes over to Andy. Goes round to Andy's turn now, and he draws and loses to the Underworld Dreams. He did look at each individual card, with Underworld Dreams still on the stack, but couldn't draw into anything to keep himself in it, so down he goes. So thanks to the Liliana's Caress and the Underworld Dreams, I have lost too much life here, and lose to the Underworld Dreams as soon as I draw the additional cards. So it is Coxie who is our victor today. Hopefully you all enjoyed watching this video. Be sure to leave us a comment and a thumbs up if you did. I have another video lined up for you very soon, so hopefully you look forward to that as well. I'm tribalkai on No White Borders. Thank you for watching.